Hammers everywhere, but what are their names? I'm James. I'm here at UNT's Metalsmithing and Jewelry Studio. But even if you don't work in our studios, there's a lot of great information here for you. Contendi has a really great sheet that's a reference on the names of different hammers and their uses, and I have that on my resources pages on my website, so that's always good to refer to. We are in the plasticity room, so we have a lot of the different silversmithing hammers for forming, and there are other hammers that are used for different purposes that we don't typically store with these. And I have these here, and we'll just go through them quickly. Most people have probably, even if they're not doing any metalsmithing, are familiar with a claw hammer, and we do use it for some basic kind of rougher tasks like hitting stamps and things like that. So we have some of these in the studio. Similar to the claw hammer and in the hardware stores a lot is just a ball peen hammer that, again, you could keep kind of rougher and use for stamping and sort of rougher jobs, or you could even polish it up and have a pretty affordably priced silversmithing hammer. We also use a really great bronze-headed hammer that has a nice weight to it. That it does get beat up a lot, but I find it really good, especially for stamping, where it just hits and it just has a nice strong impact and doesn't kind of bounce around as much as maybe a chasing hammer that you can also use with steel tools, like for chasing or stamping or something like that. And last but not least, a little too small for this family here, is a riveting hammer, which is obviously used for riveting. So it has the cross peen side there and then a flat face for all the processes you need to do with riveting. That's a whole other video that we'll get into. But with these, so going through the Contendi sheet, these are sort of organized by type. So there are all different kinds of mallets with different materials, different types of plastics that you can use for some basic forming. And then rawhide that's a little bit softer, so it tends to not mar metal quite as much. And then we have a wonderful color coding system here in our studio that you could feel free to steal that idea as well. But we have blue handled hammers for predominantly blacksmithing. So again, they're going to have a little bit of a rougher face, generally heavier hammer heads, and they tend to be just a basic hammerhead type with, again, a cross peen there for different forging operations, and then more of a flat face. And then we had a wonderful workshop with Charles Luton Brain and fold forming, and created a new category of hammers for us that are predominantly for fold forming. So we have the yellow and orange hammers there, and they tend to be modified cross peens. So generally the corners tend to get rounded a little bit to minimize marring of the metal and things like that. And then the rest in here are the coded yellow. So those are for the different forming and silversmithing operations. And so a variety of different classes of hammers. So this is a very typical raising hammer. Most hammers have two different sizes of heads. And again, all of these processes we're not going to get into in this video since it's just an introduction to hammer types. So the rounded face is used for the forming of the metal during the raising operation. There are some other types of raising hammers depending on the type of raising that you're doing. So they might have sort of longer and narrower hammer faces. And then there's also another major operation that people do are planishing. So there's all different types of heads of planishing, and depending on the type of planishing that you're doing and where you need to get into and do that work on the metal. So they're going to have different shaped hammer faces. There's also forming hammers that, again, have all different sizes and shapes for just, again, different types of forming operations that you need to do that isn't specifically for raising. And we have kind of combination hammers. This is a great one to sort of invest in if you're just getting started in with metal forming. So you have a general kind of forming face and then a general flatter planishing face. So there are lots more specialty hammers to get into. but we're just going to keep this as a general overview. So hope this gives you some basic vocabulary so that you can know the types of hammers that you're working with and the different processes that you need to use them with. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to hit that subscribe button so that you can hear from me when I post future videos. Thanks for stopping by.